David sat alone in his dimly lit apartment, the glow of his laptop screen casting eerie shadows on the walls. The clock on the wall ticked steadily, 11:58 p.m. Rain lashed against the window and a distant rumble of thunder shook the glass. He had always enjoyed the solitude of the night, but tonight felt different. A suffocating stillness had settled over the room, pressing down on his chest like an unseen weight. Then it came. A slow, deliberate knock at the door. Knock, knock, knock. David's heart skipped a beat. He wasn't expecting anyone. Who would visit at this hour? He hesitated, staring at the door. The peephole revealed only darkness. Knock, knock, knock. A chill ran down his spine. His instincts screamed at him to ignore it, but curiosity gnawed at him. Slowly, he unlatched the chain and opened the door an inch. The hallway was empty. The flickering light above buzzed faintly. His breath came in short gasps. Was it just his imagination? A prank? As he turned to close the door, a whisper drifted from the darkness beyond the threshold. "Let me in." David slammed the door shut, heart hammering. He locked every bolt and stepped back, trying to steady his breathing. But just as he exhaled, his phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. "You should have let me in."
The night passed in restless paranoia. David had checked the locks a dozen times, but sleep never came. As dawn approached, exhaustion won over fear. He stumbled into the bathroom, splashing cold water on his face. The mirror, fogged from the shower earlier, reflected his tired eyes. Then movement, behind him. David froze. His stomach twisted as he saw it. A shadowy figure standing in the doorway, watching him. His breath hitched, but when he spun around, nothing. The doorway was empty. A thick silence clung to the air. Slowly, he turned back to the mirror. The shadow was still there, closer this time. Its hollow, featureless face loomed over his reflection. David staggered backward, knocking over the toothbrush holder. His pulse roared in his ears. The shadow raised a hand, its long, bony fingers stretching toward him. He squeezed his eyes shut, muttering, "This isn't real. This isn't real." Silence. When he opened his eyes again, the shadow was gone. But something else had changed. His reflection wasn't moving. It just stood there, staring back with wide, empty eyes. David didn't stay in the apartment after that. He packed a bag and left, checking into a cheap motel outside the city. But the feeling of being watched never left him. The mirrors in the motel room were all covered with bed sheets, his paranoia growing like a festering wound. As night fell, exhaustion pulled him into a restless slumber. His dreams were plagued with whispers. "Let me in, let me in." The words echoed in his skull, twisting into an eerie lullaby. Then something jolted him awake. Knock at the motel door. Knock, knock, knock. His throat tightened. He checked his phone. 3 a.m. The knocking came again, more insistent. He forced himself to step closer, peeking through the peephole. Nothing. Just empty darkness. He exhaled shakily, retreating toward the bed. But then, a soft creaking noise. He turned sharply toward the mirror. The bedsheet had slipped off. His reflection was standing up from the bed. But David hadn't moved. A grin stretched across the reflection's face, impossibly wide. Its hollow, soulless eyes locked onto his. Slowly, it raised a hand, pressing its fingers against the glass. David stumbled backward, his breath hitching in terror. The reflection mimicked him until it stepped out of the mirror. The last thing David saw before darkness swallowed him was his own face, smiling back at him. But it wasn't his. And then, silence.